Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of Talkin Schmoedown. I am Josh, the Merc Raynor, and this is episode number 52. As you can see, I am not alone today. I have a special guest with me. He is the host of SEN After Live. He loves to talk about the Schmoedown. Give it up for Mr. Jay Wade. Jay, thanks for joining me today.
Dude, thank you so much for having me, man. I was saying earlier on Facebook, of all the Merc shows that I've hosted, co-hosted, guested on, this is the one I'm probably most excited for, even over SEN Afterlife. My passion has become Schmoedown as far as what I like to talk about over these last, this whole season. So I appreciate you having me on, man. This is going to be great.
Absolutely, it'll be fun to actually talk with somebody on here.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting. So, normally when I do this show, if I have like news or topics, I like to do that before I jump into the actual matches. And so some stuff when I watched like backstage and some SEN this past week came up. And so last week, I kind of went off on the show about rules consistency, and we've had this conversation before. I know that you did the same thing on a recent episode of SEN Afterlife. If you guys haven't checked that out, there's a clip out of it and everything, so go and check that out. So, without getting as deep as you did there, I just kind of want to get your quick thoughts, as quick as you can, I suppose, on some of this rules inconsistency stuff that's been going on.
Okay, well, first and foremost, I want to say, obviously I care about the rules and everything, but just to get my point out, I don't care what the rules are. I just want the rules to be consistent. Like, in one match, either it needs to be in front of the movie title or it doesn't. And if it does or doesn't, we need clarification as fans because we're sitting here in the dark. I wasn't sure about all that, and thanks to Chandru, we'll get into that later, but thanks to him for calling out the precedent. But yeah, they're just, and I know it sounds real nitpicky, but if we're talking about it, and we want it to be a sport, then we got to think about career stats for these competitors. We got to think about championships. We got to think about the managers' records. All of that stuff matters. And so all of the little things matter because the little things are the things that end up changing results of matches, as we saw with this last pay-per-view match.
Absolutely, yeah. I have been a big proponent ever since Christian brought up the idea of a rules book. I've always said this needs to be something that needs to be available. And I understand it takes time to put together. I get that. But if anything, start putting out pieces of it just so that people know and understand what these rules are.
Yes.
Now, on last week's backstage, Roca even went off about this, about how there needs to be a set rule book that is made available and has to be stuck to. Bateman started to be like, I don't want it to be so to the letter because but then he started to think about it, and I think he started to come around to the same thing. So even the competitors, you got John Roca, one of the biggest competitors in this sport, and he's saying the same thing that we've been saying for fucking months.
Yeah,
that this rules book, it needs to happen. It needs to be finalized and get out there, and it needs to be stuck to. Period. End of story. It needs to be stuck to.
It's far too lax, man. And I had told you this before, and I'll say it now. At this point in time, I don't believe Schmoedown is a sport. I don't think it's living up to the sports aspect of sports entertainment. And until it does, I just see it as a group of friends having fun playing games in their living room, which is great. That's basically how the Schmoedown started, and that's awesome. But if we're wanting to take it up a level and take it to a higher place, man, we got to start doing this shit right. Right is right and wrong is wrong, especially when you're asking questions about trivia kind of stuff. There's only one right answer. Maybe sometimes there are gray areas, and that's what challenges are for. But right is right and wrong is wrong. In tennis, it's either on the line or it's not on the line. And if it's on the line, there's always going to be a specific call made. And if it's not on the line, there's always going to be a specific call made. That's what I say when I say consistency, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the whole "the" thing.
Yeah.
Which obviously we'll dive more into as we get to that match. But, you know, it either needs to be has to be there, or it doesn't matter. But pick one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't care which way you go. Just pick one and stick to it. That's what needs to happen. And since that, they've been setting precedent, then just use that. That, boom, okay, that's a precedent. That is the rule now. Set it and say that that's what it is, and stick to it. And that's just what needs to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
So, John also said this is kind of getting away from that stuff, but he did say that it sounds like he will be going into the tournament. So last week, after that Ethan Irwin match, he sounded like he was ready to give it a quit. You know what I mean? To kind of step away. But it seems like he's calmed down, and he seems ready. He was saying about 90%. He'll know by the time he's supposed to do his thing.
Yeah.
Which is coming up pretty soon. I think next week Sabrina has her match, and so like it's gonna have to be determined soon whether or not she's taking his spot or not.
Maybe I'm wrong here. I'm more of the I just love competition more than anything. So, more than any factions or any individual players, I just love good matches, Yeah. But one thing I've been unclear on is and there it went. Just went right out of my head as quickly as it came in, dude. I mean, just boom and right out the other side.
Well, something that I had thought about, if he were to not go and be in the tournament and give Sabrina his spot, and then Dan Murrell wins the title, who takes up? Because there's an open spot.
Right.
If Dan wins the title from Ethan, Sabrina's automatically in. And if Roka's not in, who then would take over that slot? That is a question that they never addressed, obviously, because I don't ever think he was 100% serious about quitting. But I mean, let's take a quick look at that. Who do you think? Who would you want? I know there's, I think like Cody Hall, Gray Drake. They're on that team, I believe. There's a few others, but do you have any preferences? Who you would want to see take over?
Yes,
if that happens?
Absolutely. And who I would want to win the whole damn thing, dude. Classy Clark Wolf coming out of retirement, dude.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Now, I know that's a really stupid answer because she's obviously not going to, and she's not on any of the factions, but I am going to stick with my cheap answer there because I'm just such a big fan of hers.
I'm pretty sure she is the commissioner.
Yes,
still,
she is.
Even though I don't think we've seen any.
Hey, she might have a good shot at winning then.
But I'll tell you what, I'd be right there watching that match, man.
Yeah.
Because I love her, man.
But to be honest, though, I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure, man. I haven't thought that far ahead, to be honest. And this tournament is just, it's so fucking big, dude.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah. I think for me, she's not John Roca caliber, but I wouldn't mind seeing Gray Drake be in there since she's already on the Finstock Exchange. But I'd be down for that. We don't get to see her often, but she was always entertaining for me when she was in there. And I think because she'd be going up against people from the play-in matches, like the lower seed.
Right.
John's like top seed. So she'd probably actually have a better shot at this match. And I think it would be whoever winds up the other competitor in that match, it would be a more even match there. Because honestly, whoever winds up in there, I still think Roka's going to smoke him. So
yeah, I'm not counting Roka out at all, man.
No.
Not at all. I honestly do believe that he could run his way through that entire bracket and hell, he could end up taking that championship title, dude. Yeah. It would be a lot harder, I think, for him to take it from Merle than Irwin, but yeah, he definitely can, dude. And imagine the comeback story for that, dude.
Yeah.
He loses the #1 contender match in very dramatic fashion and with controversy. And then just plows through the entire bracket, dude, and gets right back up in there for that title.
Yeah.
What a story. I mean, we're talking like Roka documentary 2.0.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, I guess they're going to be putting it on YouTube soon is what
I can't wait. Dude, I don't. When it came out, I put it in my save list and all that on my Patreon, and I completely forgot about that damn thing until they started talking about it this week. But now I'm excited to go back and watch it. But
yeah, I did the same thing. I did the same thing. So some other stuff that came up on backstage. Tom Dagnino and Roca both brought up the whole thing about managers and competitors conferring on air, and how it kind of gives at times a disadvantage. Because there are things that you don't necessarily want to say out loud. Like he talks about after missing that 5-point question, how he was messed up, you know, going into that sudden death round, and he didn't want on air to say that he was scared. He said this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so they brought up the idea of like having them possibly be done like off air. What are your thoughts on that? Like they could do them the way that they do challenges. Just put up a card and have them do all the conferring stuff. Just like that, you know, you don't get to hear any of that stuff when they're in studio. So it'd be just like that. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm down with that. As long as I don't care how they do it, as long as the manager and the competitors are the only ones who can. Well, I mean, Mark and Christian, that's fine. You know, what are they going to do anyway? But as long as the other manager and competitor can't hear it, then I don't care how they do it. I think that's a great idea because Roxy was talking about that on SEN Live today, about how, you know, a lot of her managing style takes place in those private conversations. Like when they're in the studio and they come in from the side and no one can hear them, that's when they really manage. And so Roxy was talking about that today too, how that she's not a big fan of not being able to have those private conversations. Yeah, I don't care how they do it, man, but I think I'm down for it if they can work it out.
Yeah, Tom said pretty much that exact same thing. So, yeah, I don't think there's a need for it to be on air. They can do the same thing they do with the challenges and just put a card up. It's not like I said before, it's not like we were seeing those things before.
Right.
So I don't. And then another thing that was brought up, I think this one was actually brought up by Bateman, the idea of a 30-second timeout during normal matches. Now, this is something that has come about during Iron Man matches. You know, each competitor gets a 30-second timeout if they need a break, just because of how intense Iron Man matches are. And apparently some of the other competitors have expressed interest in this as well. What are your thoughts on incorporating a 30-second timeout into normal matches?
To be honest, this is the first I'm hearing of it, so I've not really thought about it. In the moment, I can't think of a real downside to it, but at the same time, I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't really see a downside to it. I'd have to think about it more, but I mean, other than just I guess the only downside I could see would be potentially disrupting the flow for one of the competiters. Like if I want to take a break and you don't, then that's going to mess with you a little bit while giving me some breathing room. Now that's the only thing I can think of, but I don't know that that's enough of a negative to not do that. So I don't know. That's interesting.
I definitely agree with that, but I also think like that could just become part of gameplay. You know, just like how JTs and challenges and all that stuff have just essentially become part of gameplay and can be used to either help you or to disrupt your opponent. But when you have somebody who gets like real rattled, you know, after like maybe an intense challenge happens or whatever, and maybe and if you got to go right back into it, I mean, you may fuck things up, you know. And I think 30 seconds could be very helpful. I think it'd be interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that happen next season. A couple other things. Christian mentioned, I think this was on an episode of SEN, that he wants to create a minor league.
Yeah.
He talked about how, so like, you know, in this minor league, you know, they would probably do things like tournaments, and then the winner of that tournament would go up to the main roster to either compete in something or whatever, or just be on the main roster. And, you know, for wrestling fans out there, it'd be like the main roster being WWE and then this minor league being NXT.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Is that something that you'd be interested in seeing? I mean, it's more matches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then you're seeing a separation of stuff, but would that be okay with you? What do you think?
I think it'd be fine. I think it'd actually be kind of cool, and it would give you that, it would give you more of that sports feel, especially if you're a baseball fan. It would give you that vibe of having those minor leagues. Now, it would even be, I think if you're going to do that, I would make some of the rules just a little bit different, perhaps.
Okay.
Just to, I don't know exactly why I just said that. As I said it, I'm kind of slowing down like, wait a minute, why are you saying this? So let's put that on the side burner. But for real, I think it would be interesting if you could somehow make the draft run into the minor league so that, like, say, Swag, he's not, you say Winston's not happy with the performance of a competitor, he can take them off his roster and go down to the minor leagues and pull from his roster down there.
Almost like have like a little sideboard, like ready in case you need to pull somebody up.
Yeah, like each baseball team has their own minor league team, and that, so like Winston would have his own minor league team where he drafts people for his minor league team, and I mean, obviously the managers in the Schmoedown in the big show are going to be far too busy to really manage minor league factions. Yeah. But I mean, I think that you could find a workaround with that. Is perhaps make the big show manager more of a consultant role for the minor league, for their minor league faction, and then have someone who steps in that role and manages them on a day-to-day basis, and then goes to Winston for the big things and stuff like that and get a game plan. I mean, I don't know. That could be interesting too if you did it that way. Then you'd have kind of you'd have the same kind of scoring and faction battles in the minor leagues as you would in the big shows. So
yeah, and I think it would make it more interesting to watch those. Not just, okay, here's another match, but there's more to it. You'd get more invested in it. I think that would be interesting. And my thought was, if we ever get back, to doing studio shows and everything, the minor leagues could be the virtual shows.
True.
They don't have to be in studio. Those could just be virtual shows, just so that you can kind of meet these new people, get to see them, they'll get exposure, and then still get to play and kind of get used to that kind of thing before going up and being in the actual studio stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Then the last thing I have on here is something that you had brought up to me, and then I went and watched the episode. Christian, I think it was Christian, said that Chandru is a dirty player.
Yeah, those were his words too.
And compared him to the likes of one Jeff Snyder.
Oh my gosh.
And before he said that, it never really, like, I've been thinking, like, yeah, he's definitely kind of heelish. Yeah. But then when he compared him to Jeff Snyder, I was like, holy shit, he's right.
I had never thought of that comparison, but I'm with you as far as I've felt that Chandru is a heel for quite a while now, and I can't for the life of me remember exactly what it was, but the thing that solidified that for me was the comment he made on Schmoes of the North show. Do you remember what that was by chance?
No,
it was so long ago, but even before that, I was like, he's definitely a heel. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I fucking love the heel work, man. I love heels.
Yeah.
And Chandru's good at it, and he's mainly good at it, because he is coming off like a really nice guy, smiling. Yeah. Dude, that high five can get a high five here. Dude, that was awesome. Yeah. And I love great heel work. Mm-hmm. And he's doing great heel work. And a part of me wonders because when we had him on SEN After Live, I had asked him about you had wanted me to ask him about some of his heel tendencies, and I did, and he flat out denied it, which is fine. But yeah, I mean, if you're like sitting on the outside and you're looking at it, you're like, dude, he's got some heel tendencies at the very least. Oh, yeah. So I just don't know if he really doesn't believe he's a heel, or if he's a heel, but he's just like, nah, I'm just totally going to play it like I'm not.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
If that's the route he's going, that makes his character work even better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, imagine if none of this is character work. What if you meet Chandru in real life and he's just, which
like
there's
that?
nothing wrong with him. I'm just saying he's a really sarcastic, poke at you and get under your skin kind of guy when it comes to Schmoedown. Which again, I love that. But like I said, I mean, we don't know Chandru. That could be him. Yeah. But either way, he's very good at the game.
Yeah, both he and Kevin Smets were on backstage. And dude, did you watch that? Oh my God.
Smasher!
Like, it was just, that heel side was just coming out, man. It was insane. Just like
he knows, dude. He knows.
if you don't think he's a heel, go watch last week's episode of Backstage, and you will. I think you'll definitely have a change of opinion. The last thing, real quick, before we get into Schmoedown, I showed you this. I don't know how many other people out there got it. New card from Schmoedown. What?
That's awesome.
Whoever made this card must have some sort of precognition, because Swag is sitting right on top of the Finstock Exchange.
Oh, that's great, dude. That is great, man.
Had to point that out.
Hell yeah. Dude, Swag has been killing it this season.
Yeah. They are
holy shit.
Team. They're the only team who has won their last 5 matches.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hats off to Winston, dude. I'm going bald, as I showed you the other night, so I'm not going to take my hat off to Winston, but I'll tip it to you, sir.
A cheers to Winston.
Hell yeah.
All right. So, it is time that we get into the Schmoedown Throwdown.
Yeah!
Yeah, baby. I'm so excited to start talking about this. This was a huge night for Swag in particular. Before going into this, a win in both of these, it takes them to the top place, which, if you've watched it, I hope that you watched it before you're watching this, but
if not, sorry.
Oh, well, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And so, there had to have been a lot of pressure, you know what I mean, on these to get up there, because no one has been in first place other than the Finstock Exchange. So, huge stuff going on for them. So, yeah,
but on the flip side of that, I think Finstock Exchange has always been, and it's been known that they're heavier stacked on singles and teams.
That's true.
So it's kind of one of those where, like, and so it's kind of like, Winston, he brought Swag up, and they're now up there in the top. But really, as far as teams and singles, Winston's going to have a hard road, dude. It's not going to be as smooth as the Star Wars and IG went for him.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, Final Exam's doing great stuff.
Yeah, they are
right now. But you never know. One trip and all that can come down. And we're not even into the team's tournament yet. This is just leading up toward title stuff. But we'll see what happens when we get to that. So we'll start with our first match here: the Pride versus Final Exam. Speaking of which, my God, man, Ben Goddard over here with the plethora of bird puns, man.
I know.
I'm just like, damn, he's good at this.
when all that first went down with the cough with Ellis and all that, and I was put off by Ben's reaction to that. I'll say it, but you know what? Those puns he was given and the shit he's been giving himself over his reaction to that call situation with Ellis, it's almost redeemed him completely in my mind.
Yeah.
That, along with his gameplay, dude, before the season started, I had no idea what to expect from him. I don't think anybody did, but holy shit, dude, he came to play, man. And as far as his partner, I just want to say that not only is she a great player, but man, I really love her fucking hair.
Yes, man.
Looks great, dude.
She's got some great hair.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I love that she dyed it blonde.
Me too.
Good. And so we get into this. These two teams real evenly matched in this first round. Just kind of going back and forth between one another. Lon kind of fucked up there at one point. I think with that whole Mulan question, I think I think he was focusing too much on his gimmick, and we've seen that happen before.
Right.
With a lot of times with like when was it Rotten Tomatoes or MODOK? I think they were going by MODOK at the time. Gray Drake and Matt Ashby when they were doing the Boris and Natasha.
Right.
I always remember that because they were so entrenched into their character that they kept like missing the timer. Because of it. And I think Lon was paying a little bit too much into his gimmick and just wasn't paying enough attention to the game.
That, and I also think he misunderstood Christian a little bit because, to be honest, I didn't misunderstand him, but I was a little bit lost too there when Lon said that he thought that was the bonus question. Yeah. I was like, you know what? Right before they asked this, Christian he mentioned that the other two were had perfect rounds so far, and I think Lon just jumped ahead and was thinking, oh, okay, well, like that's Christian wrapping up this round. They got so this is their bonus question. Yeah. Very unfortunate for them in that situation, but I mean, completely understandable.
He probably would have kicked his own ass if they had lost because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
he knew the answer. He just didn't realize he was supposed to answer.
Yeah. But like you said, it played great into his character work, dude. He's just like, oh, I didn't write it down.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. So both Ben and Paul get perfect rounds with their bonus here. Yep. Again, you were talking about Ben's gameplay, and it's like from with Paul, you kind of expect this kind of gameplay. Yeah. But like you said, Ben has really shown just how good of a competitor he really is. This ain't the first time he's gotten a perfect round, and so I'm actually real excited to see what he does in the future from here. So round one ends 14-15, the Pride in the lead at this point. A lot of people thought it would be the other way around, but, Lon prevented a tie here. So we get into round two. The Pride spins John Carpenter, and then Reese spins and lands, unfortunately for them, on spy movies. Obviously not a big strength for them. They only got half of their points here. Had to go to multiple choice 3 times, and wound up giving away a 1-point steal. Not a great round here. They did power through what they had, but they had some pretty big misses. So luckily for them, Final Exam only got a 1-point steal. It could have been way worse. Because they missed a 2-pointer, without going to multiple choice, and that could have screwed them even harder. But yeah. So what were your thoughts on their portion of round two?
I was impressed. I was impressed with all rounds of this.
Yeah.
From both sides, and I don't want it to sound like I underestimate Pride or Ben, and I certainly don't underestimate Rachel. I'm well aware of what she can do. Mm-hmm. I don't mean this is not, but just for some reason, I just don't seem to take Ben as seriously as I know I should in the Schmoedown. Even when he does really good. There's just something about him that I can't take as serious as I know inside I should.
I think a lot of that is kind of your experiences with him via SEN. I mean, there's been some stuff, but
oh man,
but yeah, I mean,
he's doing really good though. I'm never going to take away from great competitors and great gameplay, man.
Yeah,
and especially that first fucking round. Hell yeah.
And as we see in Final Exam Spin, they land on John Carpenter just like the Pride did, but they stay with it. Now, here's the one thing that I'm not the biggest fan of with it's pretty much the only thing I'm not the biggest fan of with the team, the way they're doing the teams matches, is that they have to have the other team completely out of the room. So they don't hear the questions unless it's a miss.
Right. So
we don't know, like a lot of times, they kind of go through the matches and they're like, man, I knew all their questions to the John Carter, you know what I mean? So, but we have no idea. Would they have done good in that category if they had just stayed with it? But we don't know, and that's one thing I'm not the biggest fan of in this format. But it's kind of something that you just kind of have to deal with, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they fucking final exam, man. They just fucking rolled right through this category. All 12 points, just destroyed it. Didn't even give the Pride a chance to hear a single question out of this category. It was insane. Ending round 2, 27-21. They take the lead here by 6.
That's a hard deficit to go to, or to go into the third round with, dude.
Oh yeah. It's
not easy.
Yeah, it's rare. I mean, you can go ask Frank Heelish, as I like to call him, the stat man there, what the stats are on comebacks from 6 points, but I'm sure it's pretty low. Now, I was saying how I don't like how they're not allowed to be in the room and all this stuff, but I do like the way, in general, the way they do the steal attempts in this. Because we didn't get to see it in the last week's match.
Yeah.
Like, both teams got perfect round 2s, so we didn't get to see any of that. The only issue I really have is that it's all on the managers at this point if they want to challenge something. You know what I mean? Because, like I said before, the competitors don't hear any of these questions.
Yeah.
So they don't know if something in the question is wrong, is a mistake, if what they're saying, if what that team is answering is incorrect in some way. So it's completely up to the managers, who a lot of the managers are managers because they can't play.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
that's the truth.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
They're a lot of those managers are great managers. They're just not good. Like, look at Winston. He's a great manager. He's not a very good player, but he's a great manager.
Yeah.
But leaving it all on the managers to have to be able to do these challenges, I think, is a big disadvantage for the teams. Because in all the other ones where it's singles type competition, you stay there and you hear it. So the competitor can. But the teams are at a disadvantage to this point. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that at all. It's just something that I wanted to
just that I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know if there's any way around it. I doubt there is. Other than because as long as it's not, because like if it's live like these throwdowns, there's really no way to do it, because you'd be taking time to let them like have some sort of playback and watch, but that would take way too long.
Yeah.
But if it's a pre-recorded, you could theoretically do that. But even that, I don't think it would ever happen.
No, it's just the way it is with this new format that we have to do due to the corona bug, So, which I mean, dude. Even though there are little mess ups and hiccups and inconsistencies and enforcement of things, which some of those things, more so the inconsistencies, would, they would still be there if the format was in studio like they used to be. But my point is that given this new format, dude, they're doing great. I'm not trying to take away from anything that they're doing. They're doing great with what they've got to work with. I'm just saying things could be better.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, then we get into round 3. The Pride in a tough spot here, down by 6. And they have to answer all 3 of their questions before final exam even has a chance to answer those, which is putting them in TKO range because of that. It's always a rough spot when you're down by 6 because of that. So Rachel gets on, she hits her 2, but unfortunately Ben misses his 3. He kicks himself quite a bit in the after interview because of this. Then it comes down to their 5, which if they were to get this, it would put them in the lead by 1, by 1. Not great, but still possible. You know what I mean? Theoretically, the final exam could have missed all 3 of their questions. I've seen it happen to the greats,
Yeah.
But we didn't get to see that because they weren't able to pull out their 5-point question. And final exam wins 27-23, giving another 3 points for Swag. And this actually put Swag into second place at this point in the show. So, what were your thoughts for the end of this? This round 3 is pretty short. Round 3.
Yeah, it was. And, like you said, even if they had gotten that 5-pointer, they still would have been a long way from it. But, I mean, you never know. Like you said, they could have missed those, but even that added pressure of them only being 1 point down could have what's the word I'm trying to think of? But it could have put final exam off out of their head a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just never know. I mean, they fought, dude. They fought hard. There's no question about that. It's just fuck, man. It was Lon and Paul's night, man.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, the only thing that if they getting that 5-pointer really would have done for them would have prevented Swag from getting a point, because they would have only gotten 2 realistically. Because I really doubt that they would have missed all 3 of those questions. I mean,
right.
We didn't hear the questions, but I just have a hard time believing that it would have actually happened. But the TKO gave Swag an extra point, and it pushed them into second place. And in the end, it actually pushed them into first place.
Yeah.
Because they would have been tied, possibly, depending on their actual stats. They might have wound up right under Finn Stock Exchange. We don't really know. I'd have to go back and really look at that stuff. But, yeah. So that actually getting that TKO really helped them out in the end.
Yeah, and that's just another great example of why the little things matter so much.
Oh, yeah.
Because, that 1 point made all the difference for them in the end.
Yeah.
So, as a faction, as far as the overall standings.
And like I said, Ben was beating himself up during this the after interview, and honestly, I don't think he has anything to beat himself up about.
No.
Dude got a fucking perfect first round. He got stuck. They got stuck with a rough second round. They really did, and they had a little bit of a tough. I mean, the second and third rounds it's all up to luck, really, because it's the spin and then the numbers that you choose. It's really all up to luck, and sometimes it goes your way and sometimes it doesn't. But I think he's definitely got a good career in this league coming whenever he wants to keep going.
Yeah.
So we will get into the next match, and that is Smets versus Chandru for the Innergeekdom title. That's right. Now,
Hi, Smasher!
Let's high five!
Dude, Smets wasn't having any of that shit, dude.
Oh, my God, he was
Oh,
not.
man. He's just like, dude, let's go. Come on.
Yeah. And I wonder, because he always talks about how, he gets, the angrier he gets, the more focused he gets. But part of me wonders if he got so angry, especially throughout this whole week, because Chandru's been just hammering him like all week. It feels like, about everything, especially with backstage, on Twitter, and then throughout this match. It makes me wonder if he got too angry. You know what I mean? And it threw him off. I don't know.
And dude, something else I was wondering. Now I love the fact that Smets was like, on a couple of those challenges, he was telling Kaiser, no, it's petty. I don't want to win like that. I really respect that. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, no, dude, this is a battle, man. This is your title. This is a fucking competition where the aim is to win. And you do whatever you got to do to win, because I guarantee you, Chandru didn't give a shit how he won.
Nope.
He just wanted to win.
It's like he and Chandru are in a bar fight, and Smets just wants to fisticuffs, but Chandru grabs a couple bottles and breaks them and is ready to stab him to death. You know what I mean?
Right.
Chandru's ready to do whatever it takes to win this match, and he does whatever it takes to win this match.
Yeah.
And when it comes to players like that, you have to be able and be willing to play that way. I mean, unfortunately, you can't be a Matt Atchity. And not want to win, in a certain way, because the win is the win, and this was for a title. It's not like it was just some random match. You got to do everything you can possibly do to win, dude, especially in these situations.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and I don't, I highly doubt that the interaction between Kaiser and Smets in those situations gives a glimpse of their relationship as manager and competitor. Obviously, they've got a great relationship as manager and competitor. But, I mean, was that possibly a glimpse that maybe they have a little bit of something they need to work on?
Maybe.
Because, I mean, Smets, which I understand Kaiser, he just had it by that second challenge. He's hold on, I've got it. Denethor challenge. He's like, he's like, is it Denethor or Denethor? And Smets is like, Denethor. He said Denethor, and Kaiser's like, we're challenging it.
Yeah, because when Smets was like, I don't want to win that way. He's like, no, we don't do that.
Yeah,
we're gonna challenge.
We're gonna win.
He's like, he fought against Smets' essentially Smets' wish to not bother with it. So it was interesting. I think that Kaiser's kind of at a stage, not right now, where he's getting fed up with losing. You know what I mean? Because he had all these big plans, and everything just fell apart for him. Unfortunately, and unfortunately, that's just how it goes. But yeah, I think it's getting to him, and now with his number one guy losing taking a loss and losing the title, I'm curious how the dungeon as a whole will be able to kind of bounce back from all of it.
Yeah, and Smets is done for the season now.
Yeah.
I mean, so one, there's no more points that he can possibly bring to the faction overall. Yep. And two, I mean, imagine how rusty he's going to be when next season comes around.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, I'm sure, and I'm not saying that he'll be bad or anything, but just having that much time off. I mean, for fuck's sake, dude, we're like 7-8 months into the season, and this was his first match of the season.
Yeah. I mean, outside of exhibition, but
yeah, and it's got to be rough, dude. Sitting there all these months, holding that title, just wanting to, like, you heard him, dude. He wanted to fight. He wanted to play every week, defend his title every week. So to go from that mentality to playing once in the entire season, that's got to hurt, man.
Oh yeah, and it sets him up for a good comeback next year. So we'll see. And I know you and me talked about, I kind of want to see him and Mike go at it before the end of the season. Just to have them go at it. Winner will take on whoever loses that title match in season 8, and then go from there. I think I don't know. I think that would be a nice way to get an extra Innergeekdom match in before the end of the season, because we're not going to see another one until December. It's like maybe in November or something we have that or whatever, but. Or even like October, and it gives Kevin a chance to kind of make up for what happened.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna kind of get into this match. Haven't actually started, but here we go. Chandru came in with an interesting entrance, I guess you could say. That's one thing that I do miss about the studio shows, are the entrances. There's been a few people who've done them, like particularly the Barbarian. He always does like a little bit of an entrance, which I like. And then we got Chandru doing one here. Pretty deep V on his shirt there, but whatever works for him.
Hey, man.
And then Smets announced that he just got married, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool, man.
And that he's got a kid on the way. I didn't know that he had a kid on the way. I think I missed, because I'm assuming that he had not, because he didn't make as big of a deal about that. So I'm assuming he had announced that somewhere else, and I do
believe I had heard that on. I think I'd seen that on Facebook. Now I say that, and he probably never told anybody until the other day, but I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, man, he married, has a kid on the way. That's big.
Yeah,
stuff.
Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So congrats, Mr. Kevin Smets. So we're gonna get into round 1. So first things first, the Sunseeker question I want to talk about, because it kind of gives a prelude to the whole surrogates question in my mind, where Chandru answers just the word Sunseeker, but the answer is the Sunseeker. If you look up the quote, it's the Sunseeker. So I know it's not a movie title, but this is where those rules thing that we need to know the rules. Should it still be there? What are your thoughts?
I say yes, and I'm going to kind of reference Matt from Schmoes of the North. He was on SEN After live with me one night. We talked a little bit about some of this stuff, and it was the Daddy's Little Monster question. With the question was, what was written on Harley Quinn's shirt? And one of them said Daddy's Lil, I-L-L, which is what it was, and then the other one said Little. Now, it wasn't, I'm not going to try to do one of those, it wasn't this. I'm just going to go with the question was, what was written on Harley Quinn's shirt? Yes. It was Lil, not little.
Yep.
And that was a bullshit fucking call there.
Yeah.
And so that's just, and that kind of goes back to I don't care what way it goes. I just want it to be set in stone. Let us as the fans know what it is, and then be consistent about it. Yeah. But in this situation, when it's not a movie title and it's like what was said or what was written on something, then yes, I think absolutely it should be whatever the fuck was written or said.
Yeah.
Now,
and I wonder if Kevin caught it, but because he doesn't want to win that way, he didn't even bother to bring it up. So I wonder if he knew, if he was like, oh, it should have been but I'm not going to say anything.
Right.
I don't know. It just, because if he had, and they had been like, nah, we'll still accept it, then that would have gave him a leverage in the surrogates question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if they let it go there, then they should let it go here. I
don't understand why there's such a nonchalant, lax attitude about, oh, well, that's okay. We knew what you meant, so it's cool. No, dude, and that's why I said, and that's why I said earlier, until this is going to be treated and talked about as like it's a real sport, this is nothing more than a group of friends having fun in their living room on the computer. Yeah, and like I said, that's fine. I'm enjoying watching it. But if you're going to hype it up to be something like a sport, which is what you want it to be, then you've got to fucking be consistent, dude. And you can't do that. That attitude is like, he's my buddy, man. I've known him for years. I know what he meant. It's all good. No, it's either on the line or it's fucking not on the line. And depending on which it is, there's a fucking rule for it, dude. There's a way it should be called. It should be called that way every single time.
Yeah. And it kind of harkens me back to the whole thing that just happened last week with Roca, with the Sidney Pollock thing at the end. I mean, he wrote Sid Pollock, which Sid is short for Sydney. You could consider it a misspelling.
Right. But
then Greg Elba or Idris Elba shouldn't have counted either.
Yeah.
Because of spelling. Because he knew the goddamn answer and said it before anybody else said anything.
I'm getting hot, man. I'm starting to get fucking hot, dude. Well, when you bring up the Alba thing, and I've always said from the beginning, this is not going to be the one that I live and die on, okay? But I'm going to bring this up as an example because I go back to the Sir Lord Attenborough question from New York City. It's either Sir or it's Lord. It's not both. And in this case, I found out it's not Sir or Lord, it's Baron. So, I mean, how either one of those fucking answers could be right, I don't understand. Stop showboating, guys. The point there is stop showboating in situations like that with titles. Exactly.
Write their name, and like you don't need, unless the rules are going to state that you have to have that Sir or whatever in their name, then Richard Attenborough should just be the thing that matters.
Exactly.
And just, stop with all this extra fluff.
But if you're going to add the extra and you're going to get it wrong, then fucking you shouldn't have been flashy. Sorry, no point for you.
Exactly. Yeah, so, then we get into this actual challenge with the whole surrogates thing. It was the final question, surrogates, the surrogates. Now, obviously, yes, I know of this movie. The movie is called Surrogates. And as soon as it happened, I'm like, oh, fuck, Chandru's going to challenge this thing. Because that's the kind of player that he is.
Right.
And I was always under the impression that the rule was, if it is a one-word title with the word the had to be there. I felt like that meant that if you stick a the in there, then it would be wrong, because it seems like the vice versa of it would also be in effect.
Right.
So I understand completely why he would challenge this. And then that's when I was like, fuck, that whole Sunseeker thing, he should have challenged it. And it pissed me off that he didn't, because of everything that happens here. Like I said, I thought it was good gameplay. And the judges originally come back and say that they're not going to uphold this challenge. You know that
Yeah.
he knew what it was, and because they went with an old precedent of if there's not another movie called The Surrogates, then it'll still count.
Which old precedent are we going with, guys? Pick one here.
Yeah.
And this all comes back to the lack of a fucking rule book. I'm getting hot, dude. I love this sport, dude. I love it so much, and it's fucking bullshit. I feel like I shouldn't say that, but it just, when you don't know what the reasons are for things, all you can do is make up your own reasons, you know? Yeah. And the only thing I can think of is that I don't even know, dude. I'm losing it, dude. I'm getting hot. Dude.
So after they say that this is not going to be upheld, Chandru, I don't know if I've ever seen this happen before, where he essentially challenges the challenge. Or challenges.
I did not like that at all. What the fuck was... Now, what kind of precedent is that going to set now? So, if someone doesn't like the result of the challenge, they can continue to argue until Mark finally says, okay, we'll fucking talk about it again.
Yeah, exactly. And, yes, Chandra was able to, like fucking eidetic memory cite the match and everything that this thing happened in. And, hey, you know what? I wouldn't be shocked if he was looking for those types of rules so that he had them in the chamber. You know what I mean? He's like, okay, the whole the or no the thing, okay, I know exactly where I can cite that from. I would not be shocked if he did that. And that's just smart gameplay.
Also, if you think about it, if he did that, then that goes to show you that even the competitors know that there's a lack of consistency with the enforcement of rules.
And that they do. Like, look at what I was talking about with backstage with Roca. He knows. Calls it out, man. He calls out this lack of consistency in the rules. I think he calls it like wishy-washy or something like that.
Smets and Kaiser know too, dude. They know too. They're big into sports, and they know, dude, that all this shit matters. It does matter.
Yeah. Smets just has, I almost feel like he's got too much class for his own good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but in an instance like this, it kind of winds up being detrimental.
Yeah, are you the smasher or the classer, dude? You gonna class people to death, or you gonna smash them to death, dude? Come on.
And then so they take their little second challenge break, and they come back and they uphold it because I'm assuming they went back and checked that precedent piece and found out that it was. And I don't know. I'm curious what they would have done if they're like, you know what, we're still not giving it to you. I'm really kind of curious what would have happened, from Winston and Chandru. I'm really interested to find out what would have happened there. But I don't know. That whole thing, man, it's just... And I know Smets says it didn't throw him off, but I don't know, man. After we get into his second round, I have a hard time believing that he tanked Harry Potter and hadn't been thrown off his game prior to that.
Yeah.
I know he may not want to admit to it, but man, it really seemed like he was. Because, it cost him the perfect round. This was the last question. He had 9. He was ready for a perfect... And I'm pretty sure he probably would have gotten that 11th question, that bonus, no matter what it is, just because that's the kind of the guy he is.
Yeah.
And, so 9-9 coming out of round 1. And then we get into round 2. And he spins, like I said, Wizarding World. And he stays with it. However, it did seem like they weren't 100% on this category.
Right.
And I was worried as soon as because the way they're talking about it, I was like, man, you don't seem 100%. You probably should spin again. And unfortunately, they did not. And so he only gets 5 out of the 10 points here. Goes to multiple choice a couple of times. Winds up giving 3 points in steals to Chandru. That's huge.
Devastating.
Just getting 5 points is bad enough. But giving away 3 points in steals, man, that's hard. Especially when Chandru then turns around, spins Middle Earth, and just demolishes and gets all 10 points, just wipes the whole board. But this is where we get that second challenge. The whole Denethor thing. So the judges ruled that he answered correctly because of his accent caused him to say Tor instead of Thor. So the challenge was not upheld. However, here's my issue with this. We just had a challenge that dealt with a word that had a TH. The. And I went back and watched that challenge all the way through. And he didn't have a problem saying the. So I don't have an accent like that, so I don't know.
Right.
And maybe he has to think about saying the T, you know what I mean? Maybe he has to really think about it when he's doing it. I don't know. But with as big of a deal as they made over the thing, part of me thinks that he should not have gotten this question right because of that mispronunciation. You know, unfortunately, I kind of feel bad saying it. You know, even especially if it was because of his accent, I still don't. I think because if the challenge wasn't there, I probably would have gave him a pass.
Right.
Because of his accent. But he had no problem saying it before. So I have kind of, that's where my issue kind of stems for this challenge. What about you?
Well, I had told you that, and I'm not saying definitively one way or the other that I think Chandru did anything bad or wrong here. I don't know, but like I told you, I talked to a girl I know in Bangladesh, and her boyfriend is Indian, and I asked her specifically with the accent if there's an issue with pronouncing the TH sound, and she said no, not at all. So, but I mean, there again, that's just me talking to someone who lives in a neighboring country to, you know what I mean? So that means it really doesn't mean a lot. But, you know, being able to speak with someone who's from that area of the country, whose boyfriend, you know, it gives me a little bit of something to work with, but I'm, you know, I don't know. I have an opinion. Well, not an opinion. I don't really have an opinion either way either way, but it's one of those where you can't help but think, I really hope that he did not take advantage of his accent in that situation to get that point. Yeah. But either way, I'm not happy with the result of it. To me, it was a very clear T sound. It didn't sound like he was trying to say TH. It sounded like he was certain it was Dentator.
Yeah.
And I just, and see, sometimes calls like this can set bad precedents for the future too, where people then can oh, well, it was my accent. That's why I knew it was my accent. And then let's be honest, in the days we're in, if you don't give that to Chandru when he claims it's his accent, you're going to be labeled as some sort of bigot or something. Let's just be real about it. So, I mean, coming from a white guy who has the authority in this situation to be like, no, you person with an accent, that's not what happened, and not believing them or whatever, what kind of situation does that put Ellis in?
Yeah, no, I get it.
You know, and again, I'm not saying that I think Chandru lied about it or anything. I'm just saying it is possible, and you have to think about it. I mean, you have to think about every possible angle from all of these things in my mind.
Yeah,
and just
they bring up stuff like that. You know, thinking about all these angles, and you know, not necessarily wanting to think that a competitor is going to cheat, but on backstage they talk about some people were questioning Roca when he was like looking off screen.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was kind of wondering.
He talks about because he wasn't allowed. His girlfriend apparently wasn't allowed to be in the room, so she was out in the other room. But just like when they're in live studio, she stands far away, and she's like that way. You know, he can kind of like look at her, and she can be like, you know, kind of like just have a little connection. There.
Soothing.
Yeah, and so that's what he was doing. But then Bateman brings up, you know, well, you know, he's like, I have full trust in you, but there are some people who I wouldn't doubt that the person who's standing off to the side isn't Googling real quick and throwing up the answer on an iPad or something like that. You know what I mean? And so, like, they have that kind of they had that kind of discussion on backstage about, you know, I mean, with this whole digital thing and everything, you know, some people may not be as trustworthy as you want them to be. and you never know. So unfortunately,
I mean,
just never know in this case.
It could be the most trustworthy person in the league, the person that everyone thinks is the most honest person, and they could cheat. You never know. When you're given the opportunity to do devious things, I'm sorry, but until you're in that moment, most of the time you can't ever say 100% what you do.
It's true.
You know,
you never know.
It just depends on the situation.
Yeah. So this put Kevin way behind. This whole thing coming out of round 2, he's down by 8 points, 22-14 coming out of round 2. In general, luckily I'll say, it is a 5-round match. So 8 points doesn't mean that you're going to lose. If there's a 3-round match, it's done. I feel like there's no way he's coming back from that. But he has a chance here, and we get into round 3, which is the betting round. They get mixed bag. Kevin bets 3 points. Chandru bets 1, and Chandru gets it wrong. So, right there, that cuts that lead that he had in half.
Yep.
Right there. So, I'm looking at this. I'm like, you know what? Kevin might still pull this out. Unfortunately, as we go on, we'll see that does not happen. But round 3, nothing really interesting happened in round 3 other than Kevin gaining 4 points of ground here, 21-17 at the end of it. Was there anything you want to talk about round 3 before we move on?
No. I've got something to talk about the next round. I believe it was the next round.
Okay, so then we get into round 4, and this is the brand new speed round.
Yes.
We've only seen one other time. So before Smasher started, Chandru had to go to the bathroom, and I think this is what you're talking about. Now...
this is where the timeout could come in handy. Each competitor is allowed 1 minute timeout, and that is like a bathroom break, and there's no gameplay during that 1 minute.
Yeah.
That could come in handy there.
Now I am glad they did wait while Chandru was out doing his thing. So that is one thing I'm glad about. But it seemed like they were getting impatient. You know what I mean? They didn't want to wait, and so it's like we've never seen anybody stop for a bathroom break during any of these virtual matches so far. This is the first time we've ever seen that. And again, we were talking about the anybody could cheat thing. Theoretically, he could go to the bathroom and be doing some quick studying. You know what I mean? Which is something that you're not allowed to do.
Yeah,
in a normal match. So theoretically, he could have been.
I may be wrong here, but I'm sorry, man. I'm pretty sure they asked Smasher his questions while Chandru was at the bathroom, because they were still waiting on Chandru to get back to ask him his questions. They
might have, because they never show Chandru come back, because they have him go into the backstage thing,
right?
Which is like the whatever, I don't know. There's some backstage part of.
Yeah.
I've never had more than 2 people on here, so I don't know how that part works on StreamYard. But so I don't know. Yeah, we don't actually know when he got there, when he didn't, if they were asking him questions. Apparently, there's like a 30-second delay. I found out.
Roka did say that, didn't he?
Yeah. So I don't know. How much he could have, but either way, yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of that whole situation. I think what they should have done is either put up a card or just keep his window open until we see him come back in the room, and then it's like, okay, he sat down, everybody's ready, then they drop him out and they start the round. That way the audience sees exactly where he is, and that there's no possible controversy like there is right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I got a comment here from a Celia B. She said that they didn't ask any questions while he was in the bathroom. So,
okay. Well, then that takes away a lot of the thoughts I had, because and the 30-second delay, which I had forgotten about. But you're right, because Roka did say that. But because in my mind, if there was not a 30-second delay and they did ask the questions while he was gone, and not just Chandru, but we'll take him out of it because I'm not going to accuse him of it, but just any competitor, what would keep me from going to the bathroom while you're answering your questions and I'm sitting there with YouTube on my phone listening to your questions? That's why I was a little confused on how all of that was going, because I'm like, how can you do that? Like, how do you know that he's not watching this somehow? Yeah. But yes, thank you very much for clearing that up for us.
Yes,
I didn't know that.
Celia B, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So then we actually get into the round, and so Kevin, he is up first, answers 9 of his questions out of the 10, and got all of them correct that he answered. And then Mark asked one of the questions again. I wanted to point this out. I don't know if you caught this.
Yeah, I did.
He asked the Alfred Michael Goff question again.
Yeah.
What are your opinions first off on this? Because it's like, I know that when like Christian has goofed on a question, they give him extra time, but like that was a lot of time. I don't think they gave, and I think it almost flustered Kevin a little bit, because like he almost like just didn't want to bother trying. Like, I don't know if he just didn't want to try to bother getting that last question. Now I know that if he answered it and got it wrong, that, you know, he loses that point. So maybe he just didn't want to risk it. But it almost felt like, because he knew that he was running out of time, and that whole asking him a question that was already asked, cost him time. I wonder if that rush made him just say, you know, I'm not even going to bother trying to answer this question.
Yeah, because usually Ellis will wait until he's asked all the questions and then go back and ask the ones that were passed on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, that was a little bit odd.
Yeah, like I don't know. I understand maybe he's going through the list. It's so fast, you know.
Yeah.
And so he goes back through and he's like, he reads that question, not realizing, oh wait, he already answered this question. It happens, and this is new. I think, like I said, this is only the second time that they've done this speed round.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get it. So, but
yeah,
it's something that
I'm not going to harp on it this time. But man, if it becomes a common thing, then, you know, we got to start doing a little bit better here. But I'm not going to nitpick this one.
Yeah. So then Chandru goes next, and he answers 9 questions as well. A different 9, but still 9, and answers them all correct as well. So this is the round that I was really hoping that Kevin would get a little bit extra ground here.
Yeah, me too.
Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Chandru kept it tied evenly right there with him. However, Chandru did want to throw another challenge out there. He was ready to do it, but because with the new speed round, challenges are not part of it, so you don't get that option. It was the whole Maria Hill question. How many times has Colby Smulders portrayed Maria Hill in the MCU? They say their answer was 6. He says technically it's 5, and that's because he doesn't actually get into the whole thing, but you hear him mention Spider-Man: Far From Home, and I was like, I had forgotten about, because it's been a minute since I've seen that one, and so like I looked it up. I was like, oh shit! So real quick, spoilers for Spider-Man: Far From Home. Real quick, it's not actually Maria Hill. It's a Skrull that is pretending to be both Nick Fury and Maria Hill. So technically, she is portraying a Skrull pretending to be Maria Hill. So you could theoretically argue it that way, but then also technically, you could argue that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is part of the MCU. Yes, it's not a movie, but it is part of the MCU, and she portrayed Maria Hill in that.
Yeah, but
you could argue either way.
That's a valid point if it were called Trivia Schmoedown and not Movie Trivia Schmoedown.
That's fair. What are your thoughts on the Spider-Man part of it, though, on the challenge that he wanted to do?
Well, I mean,
would you have given it to him? I guess is the question.
If that actual character was not really in it, you know, it was someone else faking being that character, to me that is not that actual character. That would be Jay Wade in a movie acting like he's Josh Raynor. It wouldn't be Josh.
What was it? Was it whichever one of the movies it had Loki pretending to be Captain America in that one scene. Remember that?
Yeah.
It'd be like saying Captain America's in this movie. He's not really in this movie.
Yeah.
It's Loki.
Yeah, he's not really. No.
Pretending to be, you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah.
If the Chris Evans question came up, that challenge would
I could give it that. Yeah, how many movies has Chris Evans been in? Yes, I would count that because that was Chris Evans playing that other person, acting like they were. Yes, and that's why the wording is very key in a lot of these questions.
Yeah, if it had just been how many MCU movies has Colby Smulders been in?
There you go.
But
Yep.
But because they specifically say portraying Maria Hill, there's some wiggle in there as far as a challenge can go. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what they would have done. But again,
it really is a shame that wasn't a challengeable question because that's one of those challenges that's really interesting.
Yeah, I would have, like I said, I would have been real interested to see how that goes. So,
yeah,
we get out of this round, still a 4-point gap here, 30-26 in favor of Chandru, and then we get into this final round. Kevin Smets hits his 2. But misses his 3, forcing the 5 in order to stay in and prevent the TKO, which he luckily gets. So he prevents the TKO, doesn't allow Swag to get that extra point there. However, Chandru hits his 2 and his 3, and that's all she wrote there. 35-33, another 3 points for Swag. What were your thoughts on this round 5?
It just like the rest of the match, it was nail biting, and it was just. This is the round where I realized that that my prediction was not maybe going to happen, which was that Smasher was going to win. This is where I was like, it really started to set in. Yeah. I was like, man, Chandra might have this for real, dude, and it. Oh, God, dude. But I love these 5-round matches so much, dude, because it just adds to the intensity so much more.
Yeah, the fact that he lost by 2 points really kind of makes that surrogates thing sting more. Because if they had given him the point, he would have gotten that perfect round, and I'm pretty sure he would have gotten that bonus point. So it would have been tied, and Chandra would have been forced to answer his 5. Which he may or may not have gotten.
Right.
A 1. But it may have gone down to sudden death, so, we never know. And so, it was smart of Chandru to challenge that question. Because in the end, it solidified the win. It made it so he didn't even have to bother risking answering his 5. So no matter how we may agree or disagree on that question, it was smart of him to do it.
Yeah. This just came into my head. There was another maybe it's not an inconsistency and you can explain it to me. Cuz I'm not one of those people where I'm like dude, I can be wrong. Fucking I admit that. I cannot know what's going on, and I'll be honest, without an effing rule book, I don't know half the time what the hell's going on. Yeah. Give us that rule book, man. But anyway, I believe it was the Harry Potter or Indiana Jones being at the beginning of subtitles for movies. Because there was one where, they didn't give it to them because they didn't say Indiana Jones blank, 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 blank. And then in the speed round, one of them was a Harry Potter question, and they answered it with just the Chamber of Secrets and no Harry Potter. And so I'm unclear about.
Winston asked about it, too. He was like, "Is Harry Potter supposed to be at the beginning of this?" And they were like, "No, it's fine." And
that's what made me think. Well, then why did Indiana Jones have to be at the beginning of that?
Yeah.
It's just these inconsistencies, man, that make it not quite a sport, in my opinion.
If this is like you said, we have been harping on the rules. They need a rule book, and even if that rule book states that in the 10-question speed round, things like and Harry Potter at the beginning of the Harry Potter movies doesn't have to be utilized in the speed round. If it's in there, then fine. Because
yeah, and I would be down for that too. I would agree with that. I would be perfectly fine with anything other than speed round. It needs to be Harry Potter and then in the speed rounds just do the subtitles. That because in those speed rounds, that's the key is speed. You know, you're just even if you are sitting there and in your head you're going Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, chances are you're just going to go Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's all about getting them set so that we know what they are. It prevents that controversy, and then fans can just move forward with their lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
If there was a rule book, we literally wouldn't be having all this conversation about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and let me, if I may, let me read what I wrote earlier. I read this to you earlier, what I had written about the rules in Christian, and I'm just going to read it how I wrote it here. But Christian gets upset when people make assumptions or make statements about the rules and they're wrong, but he very rarely tells us why we're wrong and elaborates as to why we're wrong. He just has an attitude like either shut the fuck up and watch it or don't watch it. But he seems to come off like don't question me. You know, even though I've said in the past, you know, this is what some of the rules are, I'm going to enforce them the way I want to in the moment. If you don't like it, fuck you. And I don't want to hear your criticism. I don't want to hear anything. He takes things way too personal, man. I'm not sitting here going, Christian, you're a fuck up. Christian, you're stupid. You're doing it all wrong. I'm saying, Christian, I love what you have built. And you've said things that have not been consistent, and I would just like there to be consistencies and transparency, please. And then his response to that is like, start your own league. Like you've said, he said to you before, start your own league. He said that to me
multiple times. I mean, I used to purposely poke him about the Houston show with the Guy countdown thing where Guy says it right after he says one without there being any time. Like, he's like, one. He's like, repeat. And I've seen so many times people in other matches who they're like, one, and then they're like, repeat, and they give it to him.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Inconsistency, man.
Yeah. And it's just like, and I drilled him hard about that so many times.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't like me, and it is what it is.
He probably doesn't like me either. And that goes back to, I just don't think he likes the criticism. I think that he... And this is not a knock on Christian, dude. I do an SEN Live After show for the last year or almost a year. I've listened to 10 hours a fucking week of that show.
More than
plus
that,
all the Schmoedown.
A lot of times those episodes run like 3 hours.
Yeah, plus all the Schmoedown that I listen and watch. I'm obviously a fan of Christian and Marks and what they're doing. Obviously, or I wouldn't give them the time of fucking day.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's nothing personal, dude. It's just like you have presented us fans with this amazing fucking thing. And you have told us some of the rules and some of the things that are in place. And you withhold from us the overall rule book. And yet you get mad at us because we don't know what the fuck's going on. And we're making comments based on what you've given us. It's like, I'll go back real quick to... you know, on Twitter, he kind of had an issue with me on Twitter because I had, and granted, I should have inquired as to when Cabrera in the Star Wars match, Ace had brought up that a question had been asked earlier or something like that. But the point is that Christian said, "Is that a challenge?" Ace said, "No, I'm not challenging it," and then they proceeded to challenge it.
And he says that Winston challenged it in the
behind the scenes,
but we don't know that.
Yeah,
he didn't state that. He didn't say
that's exactly my point.
Challenge was issued by Winston, so we are gonna stop and we're gonna, you know what I mean? Like if he had said that to the audience, yeah, everybody knew what was going on. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, and all we hear is the competitor himself saying, "I'm not challenging that." And then they call it a challenge in the and it doesn't matter what the result was. That's what matters. Yeah. And then I go on Twitter, and granted, I could have inquired. I should have. I should have said, you know, hey, Christian, this is what happened. This is what we saw. Can you explain a little bit? However, even though I didn't do it that way. I approached it like a fan who was working with what I was given, and I was like, hey, just letting you know that when the competitor says that he's not challenging a question, that doesn't mean it's a challenge, And then someone else replies to me, oh, here's another person trying to tell you how to run your league, and Christian likes it. And I'm like, dude, no, don't fucking play that shit with me. Okay, I'm not that fucking asshole. All I had to work with was what you gave us. And all you gave us was the competitor saying, I'm not challenging it, and you fucking challenged it anyway. So don't get shitty with me when I'm fucking working with all you will give us. And it's not all that we know. It's all they will give us. It's all they will allow us to have.
Yeah.
And when that's the case, don't get shitty with us when we're not technically correct. Okay, so Winston fucking called a challenge behind scenes. No one else knew that. Yeah. So why am I all of a sudden an asshole who's trying to tell you how to run your fucking league when all I'm doing is working with what you gave me?
Yeah,
and those are the little things that it's just like, come on, guys, we can be better than this. And these are the little reasons why it's not yet a sport, in my opinion. We're well on our way, but it's just not quite there yet.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm getting heated, man. What can I say? I love this shit. I fucking love Schmoedown so much.
I know. So after this match, we get both Winston and Chandru extremely emotional. And I'll be honest, I love when you see like the managers and the competitors like this.
Yeah,
it makes it real. You know what I mean? And especially like we've seen Winston like that before.
Yeah.
But seeing Chandru like that after all this showboating and heel tactics and whatnot that he was kind of going off throughout the whole week and then into this match, it was nice to see that. It kind of humanized him a bit for me,
Yeah.
I thought that was nice. Like I said, this gave Swag 3 more points, and this is what puts them in first place.
Drip.
In a couple of minutes, we'll get into the faction standings. We'll get to see all that goodness, all those good drips. So during this after stuff, Shannon popped in to congratulate them. I thought that was interesting, doing her little snarky way of. I wasn't expecting anybody to just randomly pop in for congratulations. I thought maybe she was gonna like actually like say or do something. But it was just snarky congratulations. I was like, okay. So now Chandru will face off against Chance Elson at the Spectacular. And like I said, man, I really think that we need to get a Smets versus Kalinowski match somewhere in there, and then the loser will face them. I really think it should happen. I'd love to see that the rubber match between Mike and Smets. We need that.
Yeah, dude, I still
Mike
can't
wants
believe.
It anyways, Mike wants it. He said he wants it. So
I still can't believe that it's not Kalinowski who's going for the title. It's Spectacular,
I know, man. I thought it was going to be Kalinowski versus Smets, man. That's what I thought it was going to be.
Yep. 100% in my mind, that's what was going to happen. Completely blown out of the water, dude.
Yep. Man, every year they do brackets and all this other stuff, and I never get anywhere close to these brackets.
This was the first year I filled any out, and I didn't fare too well, I will admit.
Yeah, nah. Not even a little bit. So watching how upset Smets was after this match, for me, was actually pretty hard to watch. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Because like we've talked to him before, we had interactions with him, and he's a great dude. He is so invested in this game, in this, for him it is a sport, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And to see just how devastated and upset he was during this, it kind of broke my heart for him, Yeah, it was tough. It was tough to watch that portion of it.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I'm a big fan of Smets. I think more so as a human being than a competitor in Schmoedown. Yeah. He's like you said, man. He's just a really nice guy, man. Mm-hmm. And you can tell. I don't know, dude. You can just tell he gets in this fucking zone, dude. I think he's probably got the deepest zone of anyone when they're in the competitions. I mean, ain't nothing fucking funny. We're not messing around. We're not joking. Yeah. This is not Mickey Mouse time. It's, he's all business, dude. And I love that about him.
Yeah.
And he can back it up, too. So it makes it even better.
Oh, absolutely. So I don't know about you, but I think that this is a definite contender for Match of the Year.
I think so, too.
I know there's still a whole
there's a lot
singles
left.
tournament and teams tournament left to go and spectacular and all this other stuff, but I definitely think that this is a contender for Match of the Year.
But then again, there's at least 2 Star Wars matches that I would put in for contenders of the year.
That's true.
The Scrimshaw match was unfucking believable, dude.
Oh yeah, man.
I've rewatched that match, dude, and I don't ever rewatch matches, and that's like. And that's how I am with like baseball, football. If I know the end result of a competition, I'm not going to watch it again.
Yeah.
But that match was fucking really cool, man.
It was, man. And it's like, yeah, that one, the finals match with Ace and Andres, was killer, and even the Roca Irwin match, was 3 or 4 rounds of sudden death. Like shit, man. Like there's some stacked matches going in, and like I said, we're only like halfway through. Really, if you think about it, it's it's gonna be a nutty second half of this season. I gotta say, it's gonna be wild.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this.
All right, so that is all the matches for this show. Only 2 this week. We'll get into what that means a little later. But right now, we're going to get into the faction standings. Here we go.
So,
Drip. Swag on top, 31 points. That's right. Yeah, this is impressive. They managed to just knock it out of the park here and overtake the Finstock Exchange. And I noticed from last week they had the Burning Droogs and the Usual Suspects tied for 7th. Okay, like legitimately tied. Like it said 7, and there was no 8. It was a legitimate tie, and they technically had the Burning Droogs above the Usual Suspects on the standings sheet, which bothered me because if you look at their stats, they're exactly the same. 9, 4, 5, no KOs, 9 points, exactly the same. The one difference. The Usual Suspects won their last game. The Burning Droogs lost their last game. And so last week I talked about it because like neither of them have had a match this week, obviously. So that has not changed those numbers. And I was like, this should not be a tie. This should be a clear Usual Suspects at 7, Burning Droogs at 8. And so when I looked up the faction standings for this week and saw that they did that, I was like, they actually did what I was talking about on my show. And then I was like, I doubt they listened to me, but I'm glad that they did it anyways. Like, I'm not going to take credit for it, but I pointed it out last week on my show that they did that. Yeah, so once again, swag, drip. So let's see if you can hold on to that number 1 spot there. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Finstock Exchange, dude. They're more stacked for singles and teams, I think.
Yeah.
So it's going to get interesting.
They very well might take back the lead this coming Friday.
Never know. Yeah.
I mean, and that's not even with like counting all of the play-in matches throughout the week. I'd have to look and see what fucking teams everybody is on in order to. But just with Dan Murrell, like Dan Murrell could win and push them up, in the rankings just from that. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting time. But before we get into the schedule and whatnot, Frank Janish, or as I like to call him, Frank Heelish, did post a top 10 points earners so far, and I wanted to bring that up. We've got Chance Ellison, the number 1 points earner so far this season. Who the hell thought that was going to happen? Other than maybe Chance, and maybe like that's insane. And how often are you going to get a top 10 list and have Dan Murrell at the bottom of it? Yeah,
no shit.
You know what I mean? Like obviously he hasn't played much, but still, it's like you don't see that very often. So I thought this was a really interesting list. You got Merle at 10, Andrew DiMolanta at 9, Robert Parker, Ben Goddard above Robert Parker there by half a point.
Yeah,
so
wow.
There you go for that. Chandru at 8, and I don't think Chandru's in the singles, and I don't think he's a team player, so he's only got one more match this season, so he's not gonna be able to make it to the top of that list.
No.
Is what it is for him. Then you got Barbarian, Alex Damon, and then Mike Kalinowski at number 3, Andres Cabrera at number 2, and Chance that number 1 and number 2, man.
Yeah,
that's just that just blows my mind. I never thought that coming into this season that we'd see those two guys just hitting the points like that, man.
Dude, Cabrera came out of nowhere, man.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his, dude. He kicking some ass in that shit, man.
I never got an answer about this. I put it out to Christian on Twitter, but I never got an answer. Do you think that Andre should be considered a rookie? He had a match, technically, in Season 2. It was a teams match where it was, I think it was Dan Murrell and Mark Riley versus the team of Cody, Cobster, and Andres, a 3-man team. And they were all out there, and they lost that match. So, he's never played another match since.
Right. I would say how I would do this one is I would call this his rookie season, and I would call that match his rookie debut.
Okay. Well, do you think that he would be contender for Rookie of the Year then?
No.
Okay. That's where the point of my whole questioning was.
Okay. Yeah.
Would he be eligible for Rookie of the Year? Because if so, he's a fucking shoo-in.
Yes, for sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Because of that one random match in Season 2 in the Ultimate Team Schmoedown, he doesn't get that. Maybe Player of the Year, or definitely Innergeekdom Star Wars Player of the Year.
Right,
he's definitely a top contender for that. Him and probably Chance right now are the two that are really neck and neck for that because they're the ones who've won these tournaments, So we'll see what happens come Spectacular, of course. But all right, so we are going to get into next week on the Schmoedown. Look at this schedule right here. We got 5 matches next week.
That's this week.
Or this week. So when I talk about that,
I know what you mean.
I say next week because it's what I'll be talking about. You know what I mean.
I'm just going to shut up.
I mean, the dates are there. It's cool.
Right.
Yeah, so today dropped Collins versus Gallego. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Gallego. It's funny because I think it's either in the the bracket, or there was some other thing that had his name and it was spelled incorrectly. It was spelled Gallegos with an S. And so
yes, I noticed that too.
I've been back and forth. I was like, which way is it spelled? But then they posted the official match card or whatever for it, and it's Gallego. So that's how I
do know I do know that the L is pronounced more with a Y. So it's I thought it was Gallegos.
Gallego? Okay.
When there was an S at the end, it would have been Gallegos.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I actually a few months ago I hit up David B, and I was like, "Hey, David B," I go, "You're Latino, dude. I need some help with this pronunciation." I was pretty sure I was saying it wrong, and I didn't want to do that. So I was like, "You got to help me out here, dude."
Yeah. No, I get that. And then so tomorrow we get Moran versus White, Frank Moran and James White. Then we get on Thursday Marisol Mckee versus Bonnie Somerville. Real quick, I want your opinion on this. Do you think it was a good idea for them to put Bonnie in this tournament? She's 0-3. She's never won a match.
Right.
She's faced off against Makuga, Janine the Machine, and most recently Brett Sheridan.
Brett beat her. I'm not trying to, but Brett's not the best.
She's never won. But they put her in the tournament, and it's it's not like she didn't play a match. Brett's not in this tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I understand they're trying to get people the chance to play, but it's also about these points.
Right.
And I love Bonnie, but she's not. I'd be surprised if she makes it past Marisol.
Yeah,
I really would.
I like Bonnie a lot too, and to be honest, I think what happened with Bonnie in this, not just the tournament, but I don't think she should be in the tournament. No, I don't think she's earned that. I'm sorry. But as far as her being in the draft at all, I think what happened was, the draft happened shortly after SEN Live started. Yeah. And Bonnie was supposed to be a regular, at least a semi-regular fixture on that show, like a once a week kind of thing. She got real busy and had some stuff come up, some work come up, and she wasn't able to be on as much as she thought. So I think, I don't want to say novelty, because that kind of makes it kind of, I think, lessens her value. But I honestly think the reason that she was in the draft is more because she was supposed to be a semi-regular fixture on SEN Live more than her skills as a competitor or anything like that. And I mean, I love Brett and I love him in the Schmoedown, his character work and all that, but let's be honest, Brett's kind of the same thing probably. He's on SEN Live, so he's kind of one of those kind of deals. Because really, honestly, if you're going to go as far as, and especially if we're trying to be a sport here, neither one of those two have paid their dues to make it into that draft. Think of all the people who didn't make it in the draft who have been playing in the fucking Schmoedown before them and have better records and stuff like that,
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So, and that's fine. I mean, it's Christian's league. Christian, I'm not telling you how to run your league. I don't care. I'm just saying that might be why she was first introduced into the Schmoedown. Yeah. But yeah, she hasn't played enough. I just don't think she's put in her time yet to be in the tournament.
I don't know. I don't know if that necessarily matters, because like she's playing against a rookie, someone who's never played.
That's true. That's true.
So I understand why she's in a play-in match, I guess. But
yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
I understand why you would choose her to go in. Like, I don't know if Brandon Hanna didn't want to do the tournament, but he's on that same team. It's the Droogs, and he's on that team.
Maybe that was his punishment for being a fucking little baby heel dickhead to fucking to Knapsack during his match. I'm sorry, dude. When Hannah was managing Knapsack, I don't give a shit if it was heel work and just trying to play along and all this stuff. It was a fucking asshole way that he handled and managed Knapsack in that match. He degraded him and belittled him in the middle of the fucking match. And it was unprofessional as far as him supposed to be a fill-in manager. As far as a manager goes, it was fucking unprofessional, dude. I think a baby heel in that situation, he was a fucking dickhead to not only Knapsack, but he was a real fucking shithead to the rest of the faction, because that shit hurt. That hurt the faction. Yeah, now, I would hope that now something else I also thought about. I would be willing to bet that when it was announced that Robert Meyer Burnett was removed from Schmoedown, I'd be willing to bet it was known right away that Knapsack was going to be the guy they were going to go to. And it reminds me of when Knapsack, due to storyline, he ditched out on Rachel Cushing in their team match, and that's when they broke up. So there's a part of me that's like, well, maybe all of this was staged, as far as like, okay, let's have baby heel keep doing his heel thing, so this will give him an opportunity to play up more as a heel. Knapsack will throw the match. I'm sorry, but Knapsack, he's a lot better than he was in that match. Yeah, I don't know. So maybe Knapsack would throw the match, and then he would become the manager. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe. But I doubt it, and I would hope not, because we're at a point where we're, like I said, it's not just individuals now, it's a team. So imagine how fucked up that would be to intentionally fuck your entire faction over like that. So I'm dismissing that entire idea and saying that it was a legit match, and Hannah shit all over Knapsack and his faction by the way he treated Ken during that match. Oh yeah, absolutely. It couldn't have helped Ken at all.
You like to call him baby heel. Well, I'm going to bring something over from one of my other shows and call him crybaby bitch.
Oh shit. Dude, I was starting to drink and I was like, I better hurry up and swallow this before he puts this shit up. It was like that close. I can taste the fucking pop in the back of my throat from where like I almost spit it back out and now my throat hurts, dude. That was close. I like that.
Yep, I use this over on my Off the Ropes show all the time. So I thought I'd bring that over to.
Oh man.
All right, so back to where are we? Back to the schedule. On Friday, then we have the next Throwdown, which is Shazam versus Final Exam. Final Exam in their third match now. They're just climbing that ladder, man. They're just making their way up. And then Merle versus Irwin for the singles championship. We've got, where is it? Right here. Pow.
Boom.
This is going to be a great event, I think. I'm pretty excited for this one. Who do you got? Who between you got Merle and Irwin, you got Shazam, Final Exam. Who do you got?
Dun 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 dun. Dude, I got Merle all the way, dude. Yes. He is just so damn good, so calm, so cool up there. I mean, that New York City match was the most riled I've ever seen him get, and he wasn't really super riled up, but he was a little bit riled. So he's always really calm, dude, and just dude. I'm going for Merle, dude.
Nice, yeah, same here. I mean, I'll be honest, I had Roca winning against Ethan, but I still had Merle winning against Roca. So no matter what, I had Merle keeping his title at the end of all this. And honestly, I got Shazam taking down Final Exam. I don't know about you, but
I'm still undecided on this one.
Final Exam has been doing great. Here, but I've been such a big fan of Shazam.
Yeah, they're great.
Last year's team tournament, I had them going all the way. You know, that was like one of the few things I had actually going throughout one of the brackets. But so when I saw that it was going to be Shazam, I was like, man, I gotta go with my boys. It's got to be Shazam.
The only thing that I've ever seen in Shazam that makes me pause when calling them as winners is oh shit, his name just escaped me. Not Bibbs, his partner.
Brendan Meyer,
the kid. Yeah. All right. Brendan, whenever he gets a question wrong, he's extremely hard on himself. And he's hard on himself, and it's very noticeable. It's public, you know? And I think he's too hard on himself, dude. And I think maybe that gets him a little flustered for future questions.
I get that.
Which that's the only thing that the only flaw, I guess, that I can really see in Shazam. Other than that, they're fucking solid, dude. It took me a while to come around on them as a team, but I quickly did. Yeah. Very entertaining. Just like I said, I think the kid just sometimes gets a little too down on himself, and I think it might affect his gameplay after that. I could be wrong.
And then he gets like overexcited at times, like in the old speed rounds. And then when they yell at him, you can tell that he just sinks into himself, you know, because he got yelled at. You know, it's like, oh, dude, like it's okay, just take your lumps and move on, you know. But and so if you think 5 matches is a lot, like we're seeing this current week, just wait till you get to next week and the week after, where it's 7 and then 6. It's gonna be crazy. So next week we've got, like I said, there are 7 matches. I don't have the full match list. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I'll go over those next week. But we have another throwdown at the end to cap it all off. It'll be Teams Championship match, Founding Fathers versus Corruption, with the undercard of Who's the Boss versus either Shazam or Final Exam. It's going to be good. It'd be nice to see some more teams matches rolling.
Yeah.
And then the following week, 6 matches capped off by the highly anticipated Chris Jericho versus Kevin Smith with the Guy Bateman 2 #1 contender match undercard. Man, whew. What are your thoughts? Let's start with this teams one. We've got Founding Fathers, Corruption, and then Who's the Boss versus whoever the hell wins on Friday.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing Founding Fathers play again. It's been a while. And I'm a big fan of both theirs.
The fourth or fifth time Founding Fathers and corruption have gone face to face. Yeah, they've fought quite a few times. I think it's 4.
Yeah,
I think it's number 4.
And obviously, Ellison and Kalinowski are on their shit this year, man.
Oh yeah.
So them together, that's going to be fun too.
Yeah.
And then as far as the undercard,
I'm interested to see how Roka's loss to Irwin will affect him going into that match. So we'll see.
True.
Yeah, and the undercard, I mean, honestly, if Final Exam wins, I think it'll probably be Who's the Boss who takes it. If Shazam wins, I think I'm less sure. I think it might actually just be Shazam. And it's nothing against. It's mostly, I'll be honest, it's mostly on Mark Riley as to whether or not his game is up to snuff. Because he plays out of the 4 main guys on the Finstock Exchange, he plays the least. In general, you know what I mean. He's had the least success. I mean, I know he's been a 2-time champ and all this other stuff. I get that. However, in recent times, he's had the least success of the 4. And, that's just the way it is. Somebody has to be on the bottom. It's just, unfortunately, how it goes.
I like being on the bottom. I don't mind. You just lay there. You don't have to do much work.
It's true.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith knows all about that. That's right. So we're gonna start with Ben versus Guy. Now there is a digital wheel again. So just like the last time they fought, do you think that will affect Guy in this match at all? Or do you think he'll just play it up like crazy? I think he'll play it up.
I think he'll play it up, yeah. I think there's a part of me that's looking forward to this Guy versus Bateman match more than I am Jericho versus Kevin Smith.
I know, man. And this is a number 1 contender match,
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like they're not really promoting it that way, but that's what it is. It's big stakes here. And I'm curious if I assume the Jericho Smith match is just a 3-rounder, but I kind of want it to be a 5.
I would too. And I also really hope this isn't one of those that turns out being like a one-off publicity gimmick for the league, where it's like this is the only match either one of them ever play and all that kind of stuff. It'd be fun to see them play no matter what. Yeah. But I just hope it's not one of those kind of deals, I hope it's like they're actually in the league and they are going to actually play matches and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is going to be great, dude. And for damn sure there's got to be... Dude, if we do not hear Kevin Smith answering questions about Kevin Smith movies, it's going to be a fucking travesty, dude.
It would be great.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to make a prediction. If he's, say he spins the Kevin Smith slice, he's going to get at least one of those questions wrong, I think.
That's why I want to see him and, Rachel Silvestrini in a Kevin Smith match.
Yeah, that would be
hilarious to see Kevin Smith in a Kevin Smith match, especially if he didn't win.
Oh, dude, Silvestrini probably kick his ass, to be honest, dude.
It'd be hilarious. I would love it. I'd watch that so many damn times.
Oh, yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Who do you think will win that match, though? That's the thing. It's like, it's tough, because I know, Kevin, I know he knows a lot about movies and stuff, but the question is, what's his recall like?
Yeah.
Can he snap him out, or is he like a John Schnepp who knew a shit ton about movies, but had a harder time, getting him out when it, at that snap minute in those 15 seconds?
Right. Well, there's always that possibility, but we know absolutely nothing about Jericho's movie knowledge.
I don't know anything
so
about that.
It's easier to lean toward Kevin just because he's a director, actor, writer, all of that. So you would just assume that he would know more. But assumptions are like fucking assholes, dude. Wait, no.
Everybody
I butchered that. I'm butchered that. I'm fucking tired, dude.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close.
But no, assumptions. How does that go? Assumptions make an ass of you and me. That's what it is.
Yeah, no. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
Yeah, of course, I like to be a little smart ass sometimes, and when people make wrong assumptions, I'll say, I'm glad your assumption made an ass of you and not me.
Nice.
But yeah. So you would assume that Kevin would have this match in the bag just based on he works in the industry and has for so long. But I mean, Jericho could be a fucking movie wizard. You never know.
Yeah, who knows, man? I'm interested to find out, but we will see. And then there's one final thing that I want to bring up, and that is, don't forget to check out the 80s Action Comedies exhibition match with Kaiser, Tom Dagnino, those two crazy dudes going at it. I have not watched it yet, but I plan to this weekend. Maybe this week if I have some time, but there are a fucking shit ton of matches to watch. Otherwise, we'll see. Have you watched it yet?
No, not yet, but I noticed it went up today, so.
Yeah. I think it's been up for like the other, but yeah, it's up now for all patrons. So.
All right, cool.
$1, people, come on, just get in there. You can watch
$1.
Yeah, $1 you can watch these exhibition matches. So, yeah, that wraps up everything for this episode number 52 of Talkin Schmoedown. Jay Wade, thank you so much for joining me today. Let everybody know where they can find you. Yeah, right there.
At JWade1134 on the Twitter. I also do some work for Josh over on Merc with the Movie Blog, and he'll tell you about that, but you can find me on a couple shows over there. And Sean and I got the Mandalorian Season 2 review show coming back on here as soon as that starts up. So go get that Rose. Bachelor show is coming up here, should be sometime, I was
going to say that they're doing Bachelor in Quarantine, right?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting, dude. It's going to be very interesting.
That's what I heard. I think Sarah was saying something like that. They're doing it like in like quarantine style. Like they're all locked. Like they're all locked in the house, quarantine. They're not allowed to like go out and do other stuff like they would normally do. I guess we'll see. I've never watched it myself, but I almost feel like this would be the season to watch it. I don't know. Yeah. So, anything else you want to plug before I move on to myself?
SEN After Live coming this week. Gonna have Matt from Schmoes of the North joining me. And then the week after that, as far as everything works out with schedule, Winston Marshall will be on with me. And then the following week, Kevin Smets, speaking of the Smasher. So
yeah, it's going to be a good time. All right.
Yep.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at JP Raynor. That's JPRAYNOR. And of course, you can follow me at Merc with a Movie Blog. Check out my website, mercwithamovieblog.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at MovieBlogMerc. Facebook and YouTube at Merc with a Movie Blog. Anchor.fm/MovieBlogMerc. All kinds of great stuff going on over there. So many goddamn shows. It's ridiculous. It's too many to count. It's crazy. You guys do so much good stuff over on the network. So I'm so proud of all of you. So so thank you everybody who stuck around and watched for almost 2 hours. And for Celia, I think was it Celia?
Celia B.
Yeah, Celia B. I didn't realize I could do this, but I could have shown the damn thing. Didn't even realize that. I've never had a comment before while doing the show. So yeah, they didn't ask any questions while he was in the bathroom. Bam. That would have been way cooler way back when.
Well, that's all right. At least we got clarification. Thank you, Celia. That's awesome.
So thank you everybody again. This has been episode 52 of Talkin Schmoedown, and just join us next week. It's going to be a good time. It'll probably be just me. Maybe it'll be Jay. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But as I say every week, we have been Talkin Schmoedown. Catch you next time, everyone.